committee for running this thing for all these years. This is a great accomplishment that we put out every year. I want to thank Tom Danko and Danny Bruin, both power guys, both former catchers of mine, for nominating me and wrote letters on my behalf. I want to congratulate all the inductees, and I want to send a public thank you to Coach Malone. Some of you know that my dad passed away October 1st of my senior year, and Coach Malone helped me through the Division I baseball recruiting process, which even back then was a little wacky, but he really helped me a lot out of the field, so I want to thank him publicly. I also want to thank my college coach, Coach Mike Musio, who was able to get down here. He was my coach at NYU, and I was literally, in college 10 months after my dad died. It was a very tough time for me and my family, but Coach Musio, like Coach Malone, was a very big help to me on and off the field at NYU as well. I greatly appreciate it. I'll speak briefly about my parents. Again, some of you knew them, John and Georgie Callis. As I said, I'll back up a little because I know we have some Ranger fans here. My parents met in Hell's Kitchen. They grew up in Hell's Kitchen, which, when it was Hell's Kitchen, not what it is today. But my mother and father actually started going out in July of 1940. My father was a diehard Ranger fan. And as some of you Ranger fans know out here, my mother literally waited 54 years for his family cup. I still have the scrapbook on my living room table to prove it. My dad was a minor league player for the Yankees as a catcher for 2 years before World War II. And when, he had children, and he was the Pied Piper of baseball up in Inwood. But what he also did was he steered a lot of kids in the late 60s and 1970s, a lot of really good athletes, baseball and basketball players, steered them down to power because he coached all the basketball players in baseball when they were in Little League, Senior League, etc. And I would even say, you guys remember Herbie Rayburn, who was a fantastic baseball player before he was an all-city player at Power. When my dad passed away, my mother, who was the rock of our family, as I'm sure your mother is probably the rock in yours, she had always worked part-time, and a week after my dad passed away, she started working full-time, because that's just what mothers did back then, and hopefully still today. I want to mention my children briefly. When we went to Power, we didn't brag, it was frowned upon, we didn't grow up in the look at me world, which my children are growing up in today. But it was very important back then. I totally bought into the whole team thing. I tried to instill that in my children, and I just want to say to both of them publicly, the greatest accomplishment in my life is seeing them grow up, and both of them have decided as very young adults to devote their lives to helping people less fortunate than we are. I couldn't be more proud of you guys, and I love you, John. One three-sentence letter I want to read, and it's because of this. A lot of times, publicly and privately, we all talk about what makes Power Power. What was it? Why was it so special? As we get farther away from it, I don't know if it's harder or not. It's not hard for me. And I just want to read you this letter that my mother received October 28, 1970, 4 weeks after my dad passed away. Of course, she never told me about it. She died in 1999. I read it in the year 2000. And I just want to share it with you, because people do ask me, a lot of people tell me I talk about my high school more than anybody they know, and that's cool with me. But when I want to know what it's like, this is what I read to them, and I actually carry this with me. Dear Mrs. Callis, the Powell Memorial Academy Financial Aid Fund will assume the responsibility for the tuition of your son, Stephen, for the remainder of schooling at Power. Please accept our sympathy for the loss of your husband. Please contact us if you have any questions regarding this matter. To me, this is just another thing that explains how Power takes care of their own, and they really took care of us that final year. I want to thank you all for this honor. I'm glad to be here, and I hope to see you all next year. Thank you very much.